raised me. To God, y'all gonna get on board after a while. To God be the glory for the things He has done. Is there anybody in here happy this morning? Now that's just for a human being. Now if you happy with God and God has done something for you, if you're happy and you know it. Neighbor, I don't know about you, but God been real good to me. And since God been good to me, I ought to say something to him this morning. The Bible declares, let the redeemed of the Lord. Y'all with me here in the house? The Bible also declares, let everything, y'all with me here? Let everything that's got breath, praise the Lord. Now, I don't know about you, but when I woke up this morning, it wasn't my alarm clock that woke me up. I was touched with the finger of love. Then I went in the refrigerator, and I had a little bit to eat. Made a chicken sandwich and some toast with some jelly on the toast. And I was able to consume a little bit. So you know what that means? I had food in the house. But then when I got out of bed, I put left foot, right foot, and I was able to walk around. But then I got in the car, got on 98, got on I-4, got on 275, got off on Overton Road, then turned on Railroad Drive, then arrived at St. Mary. You know God been good. Do I have some witnesses here? God been good. 75 years, St. Mary. God's been good. 45 years for Pastor Dyer. God's been good. We've come this far by faith. Leaning on the Lord. Y'all sit down if you can. I thank God for being here. Amen. About 3 years ago, I was presiding over a associational meeting, and the preacher didn't show up. So the moderator leaned over to me. He said, "Strat, you're gonna have to preach." So I went in my bag or whatever, got my Bible, and I preached. And preachers love preaching. So all the preachers were, I got ready to, squall or whatever the case may be. And I had already exegeted the scripture. Let me just throw that out there. But the preachers was up, and I knew Reverend Teagle, me and him was in class together. But I met a man through preaching the word, your pastor. Amen. He gave me his number. He said, give me a call. And I gave him a call. He said, I want you to come and do my revival. That was 2016. He said, I'm going to get back with you. 2016 didn't happen. I never forget I was in South Florida, and he called me. He said, I want you to look at your schedule, your calendar rather, and I want you to come do our revival. And that was 17, then came back 18. And so he, as a young preacher, young pastor, for the senior pastors to take a liking to you, amen, it means more than anything. Amen. Because some young brothers, my contemporaries, they won't listen to nobody. All right. So I want to say from me to you, Pastor Dyer, thank you for just receiving me as another one of your sons in the ministry. Amen. To my brothers, my other commentators of Calvary, Minister Hams and Reverend Teagle, to their families, to the lady Lady Daya, amen, amen. I am married. My wife works at the jail, so she works at night. So this is her weekend of work. So as she was coming in, I was getting ready to leave. So she sends her blessing. Amen. Amen. To the deacons, trustees, the mothers of the church, it's good to be here. Amen. To sinners, saints, and the ain'ts, it's good to be here. That's right. Amen. 2 weeks ago, Reverend T asked me to come, and he said it was going to be like a surprise. I said, well, it's hard to surprise a pastor. So I said, I'll be there. And I was wondering what the priest got the theme, and I had called him about 2 or 3 times. What's the theme? What's the theme? But the Lord started dealing with me in some areas, and so I was praying to God and I said, Lord, what would you have me preach? And as soon as my eyes opened this morning, he put something on my heart to share today, and so I want to share that today. I want to share that today. Don't nobody, except for 2 people in here, understand what pastoring really is. That's myself and Pastor Daya. Now, but all of us know what being in the church consists of. So I was wondering what to preach and going through all of that. And say you celebrate both times at the same time. So I was like, I want to give something to the church and I want to give something to the pastor. So the Lord took me to Second Corinthians 5. We have this earthen treasure. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency may be of God and not of us. And it's going to talk about Paul's reality of ministry, but God woke me up, and when I woke up, he sent me to Psalm 124. So get your Bibles and go there just very, very, very briefly as the Holy Spirit gives us time. I ask for your prayers. I'm involved in so much. Yesterday is my day. I usually go and get my hair cut. And I get mad if I can't get to my barber. And I wasn't able to get to my barber, so I'm kind of upset. I don't like to go to church with my hair not cut and my beard not trimmed. You understand what I didn't say, right? Amen. Y'all please forgive me. Amen. But if it had not been for the Lord who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been for the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the pride waters gone over our soul. Blessed be the Lord, who has not given us as a prey to their teeth. Our soul escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers, and the snare is broken, and we escape. Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I want to preach today, label this, tag this sermonic presentation, very simply, never would have made it without him. Never would have made it without him. Amen. Marvin Sapp had a gospel hit some years ago entitled Never Would Have Made It Without You. words go like this: never would have made it without you. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see you were there for me. And I say, never would have made it without you. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see you were there for me. But then there's a part in the song that kind of messed me up. And here's the word. And I can say now, I'm stronger. I'm wiser. I'm better. Y'all with me here?
Yes.
So much better.
So much.
When I look back over all you brought me through, I can now see that you were the one that was there for me. And I can say, never would have made it without you.
Yes.
As we pause and reflect, refocus, and redirect our minds, we cannot help but think about where God has brought this church from and this pastor. Y'all have been as a church 75 years, and y'all have had him as a pastor for 45 years. If I do the math, that means he's the longest tenuring pastor of St. Mary. You ought to give God some praise. Furthermore, we can't help but to think about how God has joined you two together, but then we can also say how God has kept you together.
Amen.
And since God has brought you from somewhere to somewhere, you ought to just say, Lord, I know it was you on our side. Do I have a witness?
Yes.
But before I go further, let me just say this parenthetically. We should not come before God arrogant, egotistical, self-centered, but rather we should come before God humble, thankful, grateful, and praiseful. Do I have any witnesses in there? Let me pause right here and say, isn't it sad people get up on Sunday morning and they breathe breath that don't belong to them, wear clothes that don't belong to them, drive cars that don't belong to them, go to live in houses that don't belong to them, come to church that don't belong to them, and they have the unmitigated gall, the audacity to come to God's house, sit down on God, don't say nothing to God, and act like God owed them something. Let me pause and say, God don't owe you nothing because he gave you everything when he gave you Jesus, but you owe him everything. Right about right there, you ought to tell God thank you. Do I have any witnesses here in the house? Some of us won't say hallelujah. We won't say amen. We won't do nothing. We'll see the praise team singing out the depths of the soul, and you will sit there with your hands folded like you don't know what's going on. But look back over your life and see where the Lord has brought you from. You ought to be able to say, Lord, I never would have made it without you. And since you brought me here into your house on another Sunday, not yet musician, since you brought me here one more time, I'm going to lift up the name of the Lord. Is it anybody in here that's willing to praise the Lord, got a reason to praise the Lord on this morning, that ain't scared to tell God thank you? I feel like preaching this morning. I hope y'all feel like listening. Do I have some help in the house? I never would have made it. Good God from on high. So I ain't going to come to church and sit down on God every time I feel the Spirit of the Lord moving. I believe it's the king to say, if I couldn't say a word, let me press my way a little bit more.
Thank you, Jesus.
Knowing that each one of us have survived some of this or some of that. We ain't always been good. We ain't always wore white on Sunday morning. We ain't always been in black suits on Sunday morning. But watch this. It's a bunch of folk that's got on dresses that's going to bust hell wide open. There's a lot of folk that got suits on that's going to bust hell wide open. I ain't in that crowd. I'm in the future. All things are passed away, and behold, all things become new. Come here, the Apostle Paul. I read it in the pastor's study. He said, Romans 12:1, I beseech ye therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your body a living sacrifice. Y'all help me here. A living sacrifice. Holy. Good God from on high. I ain't holy because of a denomination. I'm holy because of my relationship with Christ Jesus. Because the book say, be ye holy. Yes. Let me move on. As I pondered what to preach, my mind went to this particular passage of Scripture. David pens this psalm realizing the importance of God being in his life. Let me say something right here. Your relationship with God is more important than any other relationship you would have. Let me come back and say it like this. If your relationship with God is right, your relationship with man will be right.
That's right. Amen.
Let me say that again. That was for the church. If your relationship with God is right, your relationship with man will be right. Have you got a witness here? I don't want to go too fast, but I want to say this. Now is the time for the church to take her role in the world.
Amen.
Y'all help me here.
All right.
God didn't just leave us here to shout. He left us here to live. David pens this with a sense of gratefulness, and he is testifying of how he made it.
Yes.
Let's look at David for a moment. Let's look at David. David was just a youngest son. David was a young shepherd's boy. David was a skilled musician. David was anointed young for his future appointment. David was humanly unqualified but divinely selected. David was a man after God's own heart. David defeated a giant Goliath. David had an affair with Bathsheba. David had Uriah killed in conspiracy so he can get with Bathsheba. David was convicted by Nathan the prophet. David had 8 wives. David had 18 plus children, but David authored 73 of the 150 Psalms. Have I got some help in the house? Amen. So even though David was a man after God's own heart, David had some flaws. Y'all with me in the house? So don't you think just because you in the church you ain't got no flaws.
All right.
Come on now.
Say that again.
Church people act like, oh, you need to come.
Come on now.
We walk around with these holy halos on. Y'all help me here in the house.
Come on now.
But ain't no sense in us being fake, fickle, and phony.
Okay.
But we should be real with folk.
Amen.
I got some hiccups and some hang-ups.
All right.
I wasn't always in the church.
Yes, sir.
There's a club right by this church. Y'all help me.
Yes, it is.
I ain't gonna get in nobody's business, but God had to get you from somewhere.
Yes.
And take you from somewhere.
Yeah.
Do I have a witness in the house?
Yeah.
But don't get hung up on your past. Because Paul says, forgetting those things which are behind me and reaching forth to those things which are before, I press toward the prize of the mark of the high calling. All of us got a past, but we all got a present. Don't use your past as a stumbling block. Use it as a stepping stone to get where God wants you to be. Do I have some help in the house? Huh? And watch this. If you want your youth ministry to grow, start being real with the young people. What that mean, real glad you ask. Some of us act like we ain't never done nothing, been nowhere, drunk nothing, smoked nothing, and we can't relate. Sometimes you need to get off your high horse and come down and let these young people know, baby, I've been there. Young man, I've been there. But let me tell you, because I've been there, I didn't stay there. But Jesus came and he turned my life around. Oh, what a wonderful change has been wrought since Jesus. Do I have some help in the house? I ain't here. Rev just asked me how long I've been preaching. The fourth Sunday in January of 2019, I've been preaching 21 years.
Amen.
Now I'm 41. I just turned 41 in August. You know what that means? All of my adult life. Y'all help me here. Have I done it right all the time? No.
No.
But I'm real with mine.
Amen.
And I thank God for the journey. I heard T.D. Jakes say, he said, appreciate the journey.
Yes, sir.
Because you can never appreciate the destiny unless you appreciate the journey. You can't get to your destination, your destiny, without going through the journey. Are y'all here with me in the house?
Yes.
You got to struggle sometime on the journey. But the struggle is real. But the struggle won't stop you from reaching your journey. And we know that all things will work together for good to them that love the Lord, to them that are called according to his purpose. Let me preach some more. 3 things I want to leave with you today, and I promise you I'm going to get out your way. Number 1, I never would have made it without God's presence.
Amen.
Number 2, I never would have made it without God's protection.
Amen.
But then, last and finally, I never could have made it without giving him some praise.
Amen.
Somebody will say hallelujah.
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 Now, watching verses 1 and 2, the text declares, and if it had not been, had not been the Lord who was on our side.
Yes.
Now may Israel say, if it had not been for the Lord who was on our side, where would we be? Men would have rose up against us. In a world that focuses on education enhancement, material prosperity, and social influence, David's response in verses 1 and 2 are diametrically different to the world's view. Watch this. In a culture that focuses on preachers of LA, preachers of Detroit, preachers of Atlanta, they don't give a true sense of what ministry really is. Do I have a witness?
Amen.
Cultures focus on what a preacher drives, what a preacher wears, where a preacher leads. Don't get it twisted. I ain't saying God don't want you to drive the best, wear the best, live in the best, or as young Duval and Snoop say, live your best life. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that ain't what God wants. But what I'm saying is this: don't allow the devil to distract you from what true ministry really is.
Yes.
Amen.
Are you with me here?
Yes.
Church, don't you get caught up in the fact that you don't think the church got enough members. God ain't concerned with quantity. He's concerned with quality.
Yes.
If you don't believe that, come here. The young man with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread.
Right.
Wasn't the folk out there hungry? Wasn't they hungry?
Yes, they were.
Jesus said, what we got? Well, Lord, we ain't got nothing. We ain't got no money, and we out here in the desert. It's something out here. He said, the top said, the only thing we got is a little last lunch.
Yes,
with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. He said, bring it here.
Bring it.
Are you with me in the house?
Yes.
Bring it here.
Bring it.
The Lord got it. He offered worship to it. He offered thanks. And he fed the multitude. And there were leftovers. Do I have some help in the house?
Yes.
Some of you missing what I'm saying. Everything the church needs is in the house. It just needs to be given to God for his use. Huh?
Yes.
Talk to me a little while. We ain't got to go outside the church to find nothing. Everything St. Mary needs is right here in St. Mary. The problem is it's in you, and you don't want to be used by God for God to get the glory. Do I have a witness in the house? Let me bowl down some folk earlier. You won't sing, you won't do nothing. Let me tell you something. If God has given you something to do, your best bet is to do it before God takes you. Have I got some help in the house? I can't sing a lick, but every time I feel the Spirit moving and I get a song on my heart, I make a joyful noise unto the Lord. I serve the Lord with gladness. I come before his presence with singing. I enter his courts with praise. I be thankful unto him and bless his name, for the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. generation. I don't come to church for nobody. I don't come to church to see the mothers in their hair. I don't come to church to see the preacher, what he gonna preach about. I come to give God praise. Do I have any witnesses in the house? And the little gift that I got, I want to give it to God so God can use it. Let me go on. David recognizes that God's presence in his life is the reason that God has made it this far. Let me go a little bit deeper in David's life. David must have looked at how he was selected over his brothers. Go now on your own time. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, Samuel was told to go to Jesse's house. He said the king is at Jesse's house. And watch this. The text says, it ain't going to be who you think it's going to be. Hallelujah, somebody. The text declares he was a rooted boy. Shy. Are you with me here? Yeah. But when you see him, the oil gonna flow. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed the shout cue right there. The oil gonna flow. Y'all know what the oil is? It's the anointing of God. You know what the oil is? It's the favor of God. Have I got some witnesses here in the house? And they looked and the prophet Samuel looked at all the sons and went back to Jesse and said, don't you got one more? Huh? Don't you got one more? Jesse said, yeah, I got one more. You know, but he a shepherd boy. Little fella. Are y'all here with me in the house? Yeah. A shepherd boy. I want y'all to get this. But when they went and got David, and he came back to Samuel, good God from on high, the oil flew. Y'all with me? When the oil is on your life, y'all help me here. When the favor of God is on your life, can't no devil in hell stop you from getting what God got for you. Can't no devil stop the church from going forward. I don't care if it's 3 people in here. The oil is on St. Mary. You know how I know? Because 75 years you've been here. And if God delayed his coming, you would be here 75 more. You know why? The oil. Have I got a witness here? Did you hear the history that the lady said, Miss Sister Monroe said? She said this was nothing but a dirt. Sawdust and dirt. She said they had to put a sheet of sun over. Look where you're at now. Amen. Don't worry about the building for the next church. Praise God for where you are right here. Are you with me here? We done got so sophisticated. Oh, I want to be like that church. I want to stop worrying about what another church doing. Start to praise God for your church. Start to praise God for your pastor. Start to praise God for your ministry. Do I have some help in the house? We some ungrateful people. When you start praising God for what you got, God will give you more. Let me move forward. Let me also say, God doesn't always select the most qualified person, but he does qualify the most unqualified person.
Yes.
Can I get some help in the house right now?
All right.
See, some of us think because you got education,
that's right,
and because you got influence,
yes,
that you need to be in a position. No, it ain't because of that. Good God from on high. The favor, the oil got to be on you. Yeah. Do I have some help in the house? Let me ask you a question. Is the oil on you? Go back over your life, on your job. Some people trying to get you fired right now. You're still there. Yeah. Have I got a witness here in the house? Some people think you're supposed to be in that position, but you're still there. It ain't because you've been so good. It's because of the oil factor. It's because of the favor of God. Do I have some help in the house? Some people emphasize themselves and forget that it's God that brought them that far. If it had not been for God, where would I be? Do I have some witnesses here in the house? I've got God's presence. With me here. And here's another point. Here's another point that we should understand. Because God qualifies the most unqualified people, we should not look down on people as the church. This is what I call favor. When the favor of God is on your life, it is undeniable. I'm finna give you a testimony of my own. I was here in revival during some of the most difficult times of my life. I was going through physically, marriage-wise. I was going through, but the oil was on my life. And devil, you thought you was gonna get me. Devil, you thought you was gonna get us. But let me tell you, be not dismayed. Whatever betide you, God will take care of you. Do I have some witnesses here in the house? Can you look back over your life and look at some issue that the devil tried to knock you down, knock you out, tried to kick you down, tried to take your name through the mud? Look at you now. God brought you back, and now you can say like Marvin Sapp, you're stronger, wiser, better, so much better. Do I have a witness in the house? People may overlook you, may reject you. People may talk about you. People may push you down, knock you down, but they won't knock you out. Do I have a witness in the house?
That's right.
I'm happy in the house this morning. I'm really just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save everybody. Do I have some witnesses in the house? If it had not been for God who was on my side, church, you need to understand. Stop and just think. I didn't say think. I said think. Y'all missed it. Stop and just think. And you ain't got to wait till you get to church to think. Y'all with me here?
That's right.
You can thank God at home. You can thank God riding in your car. I was coming over here and tears started to flow down my face because I was listening to PJ Morton and Paul Morton saying, that's when things start happening. When I stop worrying about things. When I let go and let God have his way. I done got real happy now. Y'all help me just a little while. I'm trying to give you some help. You never would have made it. You ain't going to make it until you start worrying about it.